Hey friends, out here in my happy place again. Um, this is one of the places I like to carve. It's just peaceful back here. It's not as windy as if I'm up in the front. But I thought we'd do a stropping video today just because, yeah, I've been teaching a lot of beginner stuff, but I haven't really done a stropping video. And that's basically because there is a lot of videos out there on how to sharpen your knives. Um, so um, first thing I can tell you is watch them all. Watch everybody's got a little bit of a different technique when it comes to stropping. I'm just going to show you some of the things that I learned from some experienced carvers, and then just how I do different things. Um, I don't think you can strop enough. So a lot of times when I'm sitting around at the TV and I'm carving away, or maybe I'm not carving, just sitting there, my tool bag is always close by. So I'll grab a knife out, I'll grab a couple knives out, and I'll start stropping. And usually if I'm watching some TV, before I know it, I've stropped through most of my knives. So that way they're always sharp when I get ready to start carving. I don't have to go to my carving club or go to classes and start stropping a knife because I know my knives are already sharpened. So I thought we'd talk about sharpening and stropping a little bit, because they are two different things. Sharpening is pretty much where you're going to use some kind of a grit form of either a stone or a sandpaper base, something with a grit. All right. And then stropping is more or less where you go back and you take all those little burrs off and you take all those imperfections out of what you just sharpened. So my wife cuts my hair, and the last haircut I got, her scissors were dull. They were dull. It kept pulling little pieces of hair when she was cutting. It was hurting. So when she got done, I said, "Let me see those scissors." I took them down and I stropped them on the leather strop. And then I said, "Try these." So she started snipping a little bit more on my hair, and sure enough, because I don't have too much to go, getting a little thin on top. So she got to be careful how much she cuts. But anyway, she started cutting right away, and then just noticed a big difference in her scissors. So you can strop scissors, you can strop your kitchen knives, you can strop obviously your carving knives, anything with the edge you can strop. Your axe, once you put a nice fine edge on it, you can strop that. Anything that's a cutting edge can be stropped. Okay, so let's just talk about a few different types of strops that I use in the compound, because you need compound. You need that waxy base, and I use the yellow gold just because that's what I have. I know there's greens, there's whites, there's a lot of different types of compounds. If you go to a woodcraft store or something like that, you can find different kinds of powders. Some don't come in a bar, they're in a jar, and you spread it on. I mean, plain and simple, if you're doing some kind of wax compound for your knives, any kind of work, as long as you do it enough. Okay, the strop's simple to make. I got a piece of leather over at the hobby store. Took this block of actually I used pine just because basswood was soft and I didn't want it I wanted it to last for a while. Used some contact cement and glued on the two pieces of leather on both sides. Okay, so you can make a strop. Here's another one I made just because this one I kept hitting the edge on wider stuff, going off the edge. So I wanted something that was a little bit wider to hold on to and that I could work in and out with. So I got those two I made. This one I had from Flexcut that came with a kit that I got. These slip strops, they're called. They come from Flexcut. They're awesome for doing your V gouges and your U gouges and your skews and everything else. And then I have a little board that's got a 2000 grit on here. And that's the only thing I'll really ever take to my carving knives is 2000, and that's if it's got a little nick or a burr or something. I very rarely use any kind of stone or grit on my knives. I did do one on my little Dinkle knife because it had a little bend in the blade, in the tip when I dropped it. So I kind of grinded that off with the stone and kind of redid the edge and the point on this 2000 grit. Okay, and then I'll go right to the strop. So the good people at Beavercraft sent me this spoon carving set. So right away, the first thing I did was start stropping it. Now, I didn't have a way to strop the hook knife yet. I've got a strop coming for hook knives because this is my first hook knife, and I'm anxious to get started. I actually got some spoons cut out, and I'll probably do a video on that later after I do a few of them myself. But these were a real nice upsweep gouge for getting it out. I got a real nice hook knife, and then I got a nice Sloyd knife. And the first thing I did was I started stropping this, and then I ordered me a strop for this, for the hook knife. But again, thank you, Beavercraft. It's much appreciated. I've been kind of wanting to play around with a little bit of spoon carving, and they sent me an email and said, hey, you know, pick out one of our sets that you like, and just use it in a video. And I said, okay, I can do that. So again, thank you, Beavercraft. You guys are awesome. Sent me a really nice set here, and I've already been playing with it a little bit. But let's talk about stropping, because that's what this video is about. So a couple things that I see when I'm stropping myself is, number one, depending on the blade type that you have to consider that angle. Now these two blades have two different kinds of edges, all right? But this one still has an edge, just like this one has an edge. It's just at a different bevel edge. So it's important to make sure that you stay with that bevel while you're stropping. So one thing my teacher said was lay it down and just bring it up till you feel the blade touch. And you can do that. You can tell just by the way it's dragging across your strop whether you're stropping it or not. Okay, so lay your blade flat and bring it up till you feel the edge. You can feel it like just like that, and I can feel the edge. So real important. Do it same amount on both sides. So you do, say you do 10 strokes here, and this is a bigger knife, so I got to do the whole blade. But for a smaller knife that fits on your, you can do 5, 10 times, 20 times, but whatever you do, turn it over and do the other side, exactly amount that you did on the first side. Same thing here. When you put your knife down, just tilt it just a little bit till you start to feel that edge dragging. Okay, two things can happen that, and all these came from teachers around me that have told me these things. So like I said, everybody's got different ways of stropping and different, it's a science. So you know how science is, it's always changing, or somebody's got a better way to do it, but just do it. That's all you got to worry about. Okay, so one thing I was taught was to always pull stroke. Okay, or when you flip your knife over, push away from the blade edge. All right, sometimes you'll see guys pushing this way with it. All right, and they told me that one reason why you don't want to do that, and again, I'm just going on what I was taught, is that you sometimes can push too hard and round off the edge of your blade when you're going on a strop. Okay, you can round off that edge. All right, so always take the back part of the knife and strop away from the blade edge, just like so. Okay, I don't know how true it is, but I don't want to take a chance of messing up my knife by doing it wrong. The other thing is, you can also round off your edge by pushing down too tight, too much, especially if you have a thick, real thick piece of leather. That's why you want a nice, if you make your own, make sure you got a nice hard piece of hardwood or hard, you know, something besides basswood. Use a harder surface of wood, you know, oak or pine. You know, pine's a little harder than basswood, but use a good piece of wood that's solid, that won't squish when you push down on it. Same way with the leather. If I got a really thick piece of leather and I push too hard, I can push that blade edge down inside there, and now I'm rounding off the edge. So you don't need a lot of pressure. When I first started sharpening, I was really bearing down on it. And one of my teachers was like, "Why are you pushing so hard? You don't need to push that hard. Just tilt it and drag it till you feel it. You feel that edge going." Okay? So, real important. The other thing is, always put a good amount of compound on there. Okay? Put a good amount of compound. Because the compound is what puts that finish on your knife, and it also helps hold the edge better for a longer period of time. Okay? I know when I'm carving, a lot of times I'll carve for an hour and not even realize that I've been carving for an hour and or 2 hours, and you have to stop and take a break and strop the knife you're using. But the more compound you can put on it, get that strop nice and get a nice coating on there, and polish those edges, polish that blade with this compound. That's really what this is a polishing compound. Um, so there you go. Put that on. Now another thing you can do, and I tried it once before, it worked okay, but after a while I just felt like I didn't need to do that, is that you can warm this up a little bit with a hair dryer or a little floor heater in the winter time. If you got the heater running, a little floor heater or whatever, you can hold this up and get it kind of warm, and then soften the wax, soften your compound up, and you can get that compound to go down in there. But I don't really have a problem with it, so I don't really do that step. But I'm just saying, if you want to try it, try it. I put it on like a crayon. I just put it on there and color that leather with it. And that's one thing about the yellow, is I can see it pretty good when I'm putting it on there. So put your compound on there. All right. Next, like I said, if you feel like you need an edge, or maybe your knife is a little bit dull, I've been cutting away on some cherry with this thing. But you can always take a little bit of this 2000. Same thing. Tilt it. And see, on the long blades, you can take it at a diagonal on your strop. And rotate it. Push it across that edge. And again, I'm not saying the ways that other people do it. You know, some guys may have success at going this way, and get their knife really sharp. I'm looking at it from a beginner standpoint. If I'm pushing, I'm probably pushing my edge down because I'm not got the right angle. So it's a little safer for me too if I push away and keep that blade edge away from the medium. Okay. Now Flexcut's got a bigger strop here. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It has a little more of a coarse leather here. I personally have had good luck with what I did with the ones I made before, and I didn't even have this one. And then this one just came with the kit. But anytime you use an abrasive on it, definitely make sure you go back and strop it real good. And by abrasive, I mean like a stone or some emery cloth or sandpaper or something like that. And unless you got big nicks in your blade, you really don't need nothing real coarse. Okay. Next, we have these. And each one of them has little humps and little divots and things like that that you can use to sharpen or to strop. I'm sorry. All right, so for instance, this big gouge right here, I can strop that right here on the back and put a little compound on that. Because there's two different slip strops I have here, and this particular one has a rounded hump with leather on it. And then it has a flat side on it. So I can do all my V-tools, my skews, my gouges, everything on this strop right here. Okay, so the same way I'm going to pull away from the blade edge, tip it, then on the back side, a couple ways I can do this. I can do one side and kind of roll it as I pull. I can really get that center point real good because that's where most of the wood starts to dig. But I can just roll it and pull it. Guys, you'd be surprised how much just a little stropping will do. Okay, here's another one that's got the curve, but it doesn't have the leather. Same thing, I can use this as a strop. You can actually use wood as a strop. That was something I learned that I didn't know. Because I always thought, why would I want to use these? These are hard, but they actually are strops. And I can go back to the leather. Just clean it up a little bit. Okay. Same thing with my, let's see if I'm my V tool here. Here's my V tool. I just find one that fits. Perfect. This one's actually a little wider, so it's actually the right one. If you look down, you should be able to see that your tool is touching it all the way around that edge. Okay, same thing here. I can do one side, turn it, do the other side. And again, if I'm really sitting down stropping, I'll make sure I do the same amount on both sides, both edges, beveled edge and the inside edge. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. We got a U-gouge. Perfect fit. Now you can get these little slip strops on Amazon or Flexcut's website. Now normally I would set this down on the table and do it. Since I'm not here by a table, I hold up against my body. That's how I carve. That's how most experienced carvers anyway. You see them carving, everything's up against the body. Or down here where we can see. So find the right size. Look, I've got an inside one right here if I want. There again, rolling it as I pull. Pull, roll, pull. And you'd be surprised how sharp that'll get it. Especially when you see it starting getting polished. Look right there. You know it's working. Okay. Now, I know some people will say, I power strop mine. I got a power strop and everything. And that's good. That's cool. My teacher does too. And a lot of times I'll get him or I'll use his when he's got it set up at class. And I'll use my tools on there just so I can learn how to use it. And it does an excellent job. And so does this. And I can't bring my strop out here when I'm carving, my power strop, unless I want to get a drill and all that stuff. So these little strops, they do just fine for you. If you've got a bunch of tools, get you one of these little slip strops. Almost every tool will fit this thing somehow. Alright, so that's my U-gouge. See what else we got in here. The skew. It's got a slight little curve to it. Same thing right in here. Works perfect. Right in that little indentation. The other edge, I can do the same thing on this. I asked the guy one time, I said, how do I know when I've done enough stropping. And he said, do a little more and then you'll know. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Here's a little bit more of a, let's see, this is a number 7. Perfect. There's one that fits it. Fits it perfect. Okay. Same thing on the back side of this one. This curve fits right down in there. Perfect. You might have to turn it just a little bit if it doesn't fit exactly perfect. That's okay. Just roll it, roll it, roll it. Okay? Paying attention to your bubbles. Alright, let's see what we got left. Let's see, we got another U. This one is thought it was marked on here. It's not marked on here. It's 11. Number 11. I'm probably my most used. It's right on that one. Okay, guys. Hope you learned something from this video. If you picked up one little tip, that's perfect. Like I said, watch all the stropping videos you can. Everybody does it a little different way, but for the most part, you want to strop. Do a lot of stropping. Keep that knife sharp. Remember, a sharp knife's a little safer than a dull knife. All right, so we're going to wrap this video up. I appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel. Give this video a like if you liked it, and make sure if you're not subscribed, you get subscribed. Okay, and make sure that you ring that notification bell so you get notified when we got a next video coming up. Got a few more things I'm going to do. Probably do them out here. It's nice and calm. The wind's not as bad. Had a little wind noise, but not too much. But I like carving out here. This is one of my fun places to be and do carving. It's so peaceful and quiet. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one.